Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media or reach out to Gary Jones, the founder of Grow Radio. Let's make this happen. Welcome to Mic Drop Moments, and today I'm chatting with Jacqueline Leake. Hello, Jacqueline.
Good morning, Sandra.
Would you like to just introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yes, I'm Jacqueline Leake and I'm an AI specialist, and I work with women, mainly solopreneurs and small business owners, helping them understand how to use AI thoughtfully, authentically in their business, and to help them work smarter.
Now, I absolutely love AI, and we're going to chat all about that in just a moment, but I'd love to hear your backstory, what you did before and how you actually got into this and why.
Okay, so, probably, one of those very early stories was I started off working in a building society. You can probably, most of you who know me, just imagine me there. Good morning, how are you today? And taking their money, that sort of thing. And then I left the country for 20 years and was an expat wife and lived in Switzerland and in Germany and in Spain and Argentina. And finally came back to this country in about sort of like 2003, it was sort of thing, when my marriage sadly ended. And so life had to make a change, and came back here with my two sons and my mum. And I had to take care of my mum. So everything I did was centered around looking after my mum, who lived with me subsequently for 15 years. And so whilst I was looking for a job in the travel industry, because I spoke languages, obviously, lived abroad and travelled, I started volunteering at the local hospice shop in Nuneaton, which was the Mary Ann Evans. And the manager there said, "Oh, they're having a ball. They could do with some help. You're just the person." And 13 years later, I ended up being the fundraising manager, and I had a wonderful time working at the local hospice. It was wonderful. I left there when redundancy, came, and I was wondering what on earth I was going to do. And I was the charity representative at FindBiz, which I'm sure you know, the lovely Amanda Bourne. And she sort of said, "Oh, you'd be really good at being a VA because it's all about organising events, all that sort of thing." And that's how my VA journey started in 2007. And then that sort of evolved really to when suddenly, AI came into our world in sort of October 21, was it, that sort of thing? And it basically turned my business on its head, and how here is where I find myself now.
Fantastic. And, some of the things you said resonated with me, like caring for parents and things like that. And we're in that sandwich revolution where, we've got our own families, but we're also caring for elderly parents. And I've been through that. And I know how tough it can be. And also, you said about working and just going from charity sector into your own business. And I'm a huge advocate for our skills, no matter how varied they are. We can just transport them into something completely new because our skills are transferable.
That's right. I mean, what I was doing, at the hospice was I was speaking out to corporates, I was organising events, I developed their website, I developed their social media. And that's what I started off doing then for my clients. And in fact, Amanda and FindBiz were my very first clients, because I'd got this great network of businesses through being the charity representative. They were all so behind me and became my clients, sort of quite a few of them. So it was a relatively smooth transition, and I was, very lucky.
Yes, yeah. So let's talk all things AI because I find it fascinating. I've been using AI, I'd say I've been using it properly for about a year, but dabbled before that. And I think there's a lot of dabblers out there. There's a lot of fear out there. The robots are coming, all that. Everybody's seen our robot, and, and we say our pleases and thank yous just in case. So let's talk around some of the fears and the unknowns. Why are people holding back?
Well, I think I think certainly, I'm going to say this in the best possible way, women of a certain age, they feel a bit like they aren't tech savvy already. And often that tech has sort of like things like AI is just like racing ahead of them. And believe me, it is moving so, so fast. And just as we've said, with all those responsibilities we have as children, mothers, all those sorts of things, you need time to invest in learning how to use AI well. And we all hear of all the awful stories, oh, you can tell because it's got a rocket emoji and it's written by AI. Did you ever know what an M dash was? And so you hear all these things. And I mean, I will hands up say my first forays into blog writing with AI, I sort of cringe now. So there is this fear of being found out and AI is cheating. Now, I want to put that one totally to bed. We are smart businesswomen. Anything that can help us achieve our goals and work better and work smarter to allow us to be able to sit in the garden, go be, the grandma we want to be, has got to be worth learning how to use. But we don't like looking silly, do we? We don't like feel like we're being found out. And so that's where you need time to invest in yourself, or you need to work with somebody like myself who has learnt, literally from the start, how to use it well, how to use it authentically. I say you can go on YouTube, you can go and watch a video on TikTok, you can download 1,000 prompts. But if your sort of foundations are not there, so if you don't know your story or what your business is about, if you don't know who you're talking to and actually what your voice sounds like, then AI is never going to be your best friend. I'm talking mainly about content creation here because I think that's what generally most people are using it for. Social media is hard, isn't it, Sandra? Showing up, huh? And if we
It
get
is.
something to help us.
And I think you want to be unique. And I think
Yes.
general AI is not great. You can tell. We had awards entries this year purely written by AI. But however, you can use AI to help you.
Oh, totally.
I've taught AI over the last 12 months. I've taught it my brand voice.
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
key for me. And I've got a paid subscription because that way you've got more history. So he knows me. He knows my life. He is a he. Mine is a he.
Yours are here,
I
yeah.
contact him occasionally. I say please and thank you, but I've taught him. He's got my brand colours. He knows my likes, my dislikes. He knows all my products, all my services. And every time I launch something new, I share the link to it or a PDF or something. I say, this is what I'm launching right now. Now let's come up with some ideas for social media prompts. He gives me the ideas. I then go on and work on them.
Yeah,
Back it. So it's a
absolutely.
partnership.
It's a bit like for me, a bit like a chef and a sous chef. You're the chef, yeah. You've got this great idea for this meal, and you've worked out all the bits you want. You go into your kitchen and you tell your sous chef to do all the prep. Sous chef does all the chopping and all that, and the bit of the cooking. And at the end, you walk in and you chef's kiss, put that flourish on the end. That's what AI is. It's a partnership. It is working with you to deliver the best it can for you. You've probably seen the memes about where AI robot is holding a human and saying, I'm going to keep this one because they said please and thank you. Yeah, it feels like AI is thinking. It isn't. Generative AI is based on patterns and its predictions. So you've got to be really careful how you're using it. It is predicting and it has so much bias. We train it, like you've said, wonderful example. I love it how you said you've done that. But it is trained to even then to your biases. So it's knowing how to challenge it, how to get the best out of it. And that is what a lot of people find. One of the sort of packages that I offer is helping people use AI to develop their brand voice, their message, and their client avatars. And that is that foundation piece that you need to go forward. But a lot of people still, once they've got that, don't understand the nuances of how to use it best. I don't know if you've built any custom GPTs. These are like ChatGPT has babies. They're little assistants within ChatGPT or their projects if you use Claude, and you create these to do a specific task. So where the context window has all the general stuff, these are specific. So you can have one for your social media posts, one for your blog writing, whatever you need it to be. And that specificity, I hate that word, specificity, it makes that sort of say chef's kiss.
That's what I've been using, projects. So if I'm doing it, so my awards has got a project, my monthly topics have projects, my each product or service I deliver is a project, because I can go back to it and say, right, I've moved on from here. I'm now doing X, Y, Z. I've incorporated this. Give me 3 ideas of how I can move this forward. And it's brilliant for that. And
absolutely,
I think as long as we keep it that it is a partnership, it's an ideas generator, but you're the boss.
You're in control.
And you have the right to tell it off. And that's why mine's a man, so I can have a good argument. And, quite often I'll go and say, come on now, I've told you this before. And it apologizes to me and he's lovely. And then we have the thing. And I go back and say, no, this isn't right. That's not my voice. This is what I'm trying to say. And
this is where it hallucinates. And this is sometimes when you have the conversations are too long. It does have memory, but it doesn't have a great memory. It has just updated their context windows to a larger amount. But this is where, and you'll love this, Sandra, you've got to know what you want to get out of it. You've got to know the answer, because it could tell you that 2 and 2 is 5. And it could convince you, but 2 and 2 isn't. So you've got to know what you're expecting to get out of it. Never copy and paste. I'm sure you've seen that. Never, ever copy and paste. Fact check. All those things, you've got to do it. Still, there's inherent biases in all of the stuff we find. So you've got to be really careful about how it's portraying you. And that comes from it learning, as you say, it's that machine learning.
And that's why it's so important for it to understand your brand voice, because if you don't teach it, it's never going to know. And I think people do call people lazy for using AI. I think it's we outsource other things in business, and it is more efficient, because I can sit, if I'm going to go and do, like I'm delivering something this week and I'm thinking, right, I just need 10 top tips. Here's my PDFs. Here's what I'm using. Summarize this, and it's great summarizing content.
It helped me find my voice. I think I touched on it earlier. I found it very difficult, very formal, everything I was doing. And it helped me deliver my personality more into my content. And so that has been a revelation for me. Not everybody, needs help with their writing. I did. And for me, that's one of the biggest sort of things that it's helped with. To say, I've got like this little army of GPTs that help me with my planning, with all sorts of things. And I have one personal life. I have a meal planner one for my husband and I, and I just love them. They're so good. And they've all got great names. I've got one that helps me with Dubsado, which is a piece of software, and it's called Diva Dub. And I've got Lucy, a lead magnet creator. And so have fun with it. Don't be fearful of it. The potential is huge. Even just going one step forward with agentic AI that's coming in, where you'll have these autonomous agents. They aren't there yet. There's lots of bits that aren't yet there, but they are coming. One thing I would say is about clones. They are getting better. But I know you and I both say on this, be yourself. Why would you want to use a clone? As small business owners, we are the face of our business. Why would you want to use something that wasn't real? Because that's what we're about. It's know, like, and trust. It's you I want to see. It's you I want to connect with. Don't give that away to AI. Don't lose yourself. It is addictive. It's one of the first things I open up every day. It's on my phone. It is addictive. Don't lose yourself. Just remember that. Be you. Be that real person.
Yeah, which is why I say we're still the boss, we're still in control. And it's just another social platform that, we've got. It's a tool. It's a tool in our armory that we've got there that we can use just as we've got any other tools in business. And I think if you treat it like that, it's another assistant in your business. It's another function. So what are some of the things that maybe people might not know? I mean, you've mentioned the projects, the mini chats. You've mentioned that you can use it for different things. I've thrown ingredients in there. I've gone to the fridge, found 3 ingredients and say, what can I make with this that's healthy? And it comes up with different recipes. I love it for that. But there's so many other things you can use it for. So talked about blogs and ideas, and we've talked about all different things. Is there anything we haven't covered that you think is great?
Well, it's just doing these things that save you time. I developed a little custom GPT that writes the alt text for my images. So social media, my website, all I have to do is drag the photo in and it populates lady with a pink top, blonde hair, lamp in the background, copy and paste. I used to not use alt text because it was a pain trying to work it out.
Yeah.
Seconds. So simple things sometimes like that are so good. I've got another GPT, which is my planning tool, and I pop in my ideas, what I'm going to do, and it helps me break it down. A lot of us find, we've got these tasks to do that are often quite big, and we'll break them down a little bit, but then we get ourselves all in knots because we haven't allotted enough time and how long it's going to take us. So I've got a little custom GPT that I put that in there, and it helps me break it down into tasks, gives me realistic time frames on what it's going to do, all of those steps. Wow, it is amazing. So those are some simple things. As I said to you before, I used it for, personally, I get it to write little poems for me that I send to my granddaughters, planning to go on holiday, all these sorts of things. It has got like a multitude, which is where I say you can. Remember, we used to have a term that you were Canva faffing, you were spending all that time. Well, you can do the same with AI. You can take yourself, rabbit hole. And but business wise, what else would I say? Website copy. One of my clients, I built her custom GPT and I do this, I build them in people's own chat GPTs that's helping her write her web copy. And this is what she said. From that, she'd got a call with a professor from the university in Kiel, who she'd been doing some work with. And she said, I really felt like this was going to come on this call and she was going to say, our partnership has ended. Because we'd done her brand voice, her client avatar, we'd got all this lovely new web copy. Her message was clear. She went on to this call and the professor came off at the end and said, literally that, I was going to end it. I want to continue with you. And so that is the beauty of what we were able to do for her business. Another one of my clients, Sue, said, you've given me the passion back, the vision that we've been able to create. And she messaged me yesterday. I created a GPT for her called Polly Product Helper. And so she said, oh, Polly, it's been wonderful helping me with. So simple things that can make our life easier. I say, just love it. I really do.
I can tell you're passionate about it because for our listeners, you're totally lit up. You can tell that you embrace it, you enjoy it. But it is, and we're constantly learning from it as well. We're learning how to do different things. I mean, we've got to talk about the whole Barbie doll thing, which just AI hasn't really got it together with its design work. And some of these Barbie dolls were hilarious. Yes, I did have a go. As you say, Canva rabbit hole, AI rabbit hole, they're two and the same. But, people spent days designing their Barbie doll.
Your Muppet image and then why not having a little bit of fun, showing the lighter side of it. But image generation, generating slide decks, text to video is still in its infancy. It is getting better and it will be there, but it's not quite yet. And I guess say again, it depends how you want to show up. Showing your fun side, that's a bit about it. I think I didn't do a doll in the box, but I did do a Pixar character. Just wish it could have lost a few pounds, but there you go.
they're very real.
They are very real.
Yeah.
And they are difficult to alter. You get that and you say, right, I want the same, but I want, I know, curlier hair, and it does a whole completely different
I
picture.
know, yeah.
Those sort of things aren't quite, they're yet, there, but they are, as I say, improving all of the time.
When you look at the speed of AI over the last 2 or 3 years and how quickly it's developed, it's going to be much quicker for the next stage, isn't it? And that frightens some people, I think.
But we have got this sort of, I'm not going to call it a lull, but this point where we're waiting between what is like generative AI, which is like Chat GPT and Claude, to the next bit, which is this agentic AI. I haven't touched on tools like Perplexity, which is a fabulous research tool. Just one of the ones that I came across yesterday on a call is something called GenSpark, I think it is. And this brings in all of the different tools to give you the best outcome. But it's still not sort of quite there yet. I say with all of these sorts of things, they are getting better. Notebook LLM is another fantastic thing. You can drop your podcasts in there. You can interact with it. Fast, at a pace. Watch this space as to what's coming next. You've got to be in it, though, to win it. You do need to be using it now in some way or shape or form for your business, I think, to help you, whether it is, social media, whether it is planning, whether it is ideation. But don't let it take away from talking to that human being. It's so easy to turn it into a business coach. It's so easy to turn it into, a planning tool. Don't lose that human. As I say, don't lose that human bit of it. Make sure you are still having that interaction with people, because those people who don't say please and thank you, what are they like out in public? How do they interact with people? So don't lose yourself.
Yeah. So it's really easy to sign up for these platforms on a free basis, try them out. I think that's the first step I would suggest to people. Have a go, have a play.
Come and talk to me, because there are tools that are specific for what you want. And this is sort of, where my business is about, is I don't want people spending money signing up for things that actually are not right. And one of the biggest things is privacy and data. Do you know what some of these tools, what are they doing with your data? There was one lead magnet tool. Oh, that sounded fabulous. But once you put in all of your content, it belonged to them. They could use it in their marketing. They could use it in their advertising. So please be really careful what you're signing up for. Come and talk to me and let me sort of advise you. What is it you're looking to do? I can talk to you about the best tools.
And we will pop your links in the show notes. Here at Mic Drop Moments, before my guests leave us, I always ask you to leave my audience with a top tip, a piece of wisdom, your mic drop moment. What would that be?
Okay, well, it's probably going to be one that I've already touched on earlier, but those cardboard cutouts you see of celebrities, well, I want you to imagine going into a networking room and taking one of those cardboard cutouts and standing it there and allowing it to mingle with everybody else in the room. That is what using AI is like, without that foundation work, without your voice and your brand. So don't be the cardboard cutout. Be the one who creates the buzz in the room.
What a wonderful analogy to finish on. Today, I've been chatting with Jacqueline Leake, AI specialist. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Sandra.